You're tuned in to Career Currency with Kareem Perez, a podcast for people who are interested in unlocking their potential and increasing their professional value. Here's your host, Kareem Perez.
What's up, everybody? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Career Currency Podcast. It's the podcast for people who are interested in unlocking their potential and increasing their professional value. We bring you the best marketers, influencers, brand builders in the game who, they're going to share career advice on how to attract opportunities, make more money, and how you can thrive in the digital economy. I'm your host, Kareem Perez, the marketing mentor, marketing expert, consultant, and I'm here to facilitate and bring you some of the best minds in the business. Okay, so today's guest is a longtime friend of mine. I like to be able to say that. She's an experienced LinkedIn trainer who has coached hundreds of people on how to build their professional brand using the platform, by finding their voice, building their confidence, and building powerful LinkedIn profiles and social selling. She focuses on LinkedIn profile optimization and video content strategy for professionals and entrepreneurs. She's a professional speaker and is fluent in both Spanish and English. She's also an industrial engineer, a mom of two, and a Canadian Venezuelan living in Toronto, where she's also part of a vibrant team at a worldwide gas company. So help me welcome Ilia Francis. Ilia, what's good? Finally.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome to the show.
I cannot be more thrilled to be here. It's been years in the making, and finally we are here together. Thank you so much for inviting me, by the way.
Yeah, so thanks for coming through. Ready for a nice conversation with you. But maybe just start us off. Tell us a little bit about your journey. Give us the how it started versus how it's going summary of, kind of where you got to now.
Oh, Lord. It's been 15 years since I've moved to Canada. And as a typical immigrant, I have a story. And it's not the typical one where you bring maybe your husband and children. I simply came here by myself.
Really?
And
Okay.
I started studying English. Like, I wanted to perform. I wanted to learn in a proficient way a new language. And I decided, I had a friend here who said, like, why don't you come, take some courses, take some lessons. And I really fell in love with the country. So once, I spent here probably 2 months. Mm-hmm. And then I decided to go back home. But 6-7 months later, I was here again. And I fell in love. I met the person who is, my beloved husband, and we created a life here. So because I say that I am not the typical immigrant story, and it is because of that. When you are an immigrant, you have no one. You haven't met anyone, and you come here with open arms, an open mindset, and ready to learn something different, create a transition. So my transition, I consider myself very lucky because the transition was adopting my husband's network. And this is key.
Yeah.
If you understand,
Sure.
when you come from another country, maybe you know one person, maybe you know no one. And this happened. I had my husband's network and his support, of course, on how, the job market was here, how, a resume would be tailored to the Canadian job market, which is completely different than how things are done in Latin America, from Venezuela, where I am from. And I started slowly but surely adapting myself into, the minutia that every single immigrant should learn. And sometimes they learn with mistakes, through experiences, through rejections, etc. So, through this transition of 2-3 years, I started finding a job. I wanted to break, my Canadian experience, because this is what immigrants initially come into the country requiring Canadian experience. But if no one gives us the opportunity, it's actually really hard. I did it. I worked at a manufacturing company, at a car part company, and I started, making my way, working shifts. But then my resume was tailored into what the next job opportunity I was aiming for. So as my my language, my proficiency, how I listened to English, how I understood, got better and better, I decided to continue exposing myself into the culture. And then I finally, through one of my husband's contact, I had an opportunity as a health and safety professional, which is my background initially, how I started in the corporate world. I finally found my way into this, the industry. And from there was all about how I tailor my LinkedIn profile, how some friends view the LinkedIn profile and provided feedback, and how I presented myself on interviews. I consider, even though I am a kind of shy person, and you might not see it because I love video and I show myself on video as naturally as possible, I knew what I was doing, what I was saying, and where I was going. And it was projected to them. So people will hire me. Will find, my background, my experience enticing and ready for the Canadian job market, as well as the certifications that you require in order for you to level up yourself into the job market, as I said. But at the same time, social media started, with this boom of, Facebook was there, LinkedIn was there, and then Instagram, again, started. And, just recreationally, I started, posting the usual pictures, maybe one video here and one video there, until I saw that on LinkedIn, I believe, and I remember my first post on LinkedIn was simply the repost of a magazine. I would say it was an article from Forbes, from Inc.com.
Yeah.
And that was it. It was related to the oil and gas industry, and that was my very, very first post. And no one reacted. No one did or say anything. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I guess you gotta sound very smart, share only articles from other companies, magazines, in order for you to gain some relevancy. And I simply started testing waters as my journey went through different industries, because I went from software to manufacturing to chemical. I started seeing how other people who were already testing the waters before and getting comfortable by building community or connections on LinkedIn found a voice online. Mm-hmm. And I realized it's the same as how you do it on Instagram. But on Instagram, I think there's a more relaxed tone, or you can do such a variety of ideas that you can share. On LinkedIn, I don't know. I just find it so fascinating and enriching, the information that is shared on a daily basis, that I just said, why LinkedIn is not like Instagram. And I tried to find a bridge between the two of them. At that time, we didn't have on Instagram stories, for example. Right. And the feature was released. And I started playing with Instagram stories. And I felt quite comfortable because I said, well, there's no one else like me. I am simply going to show what I am, how I talk, imperfections, mistakes, and I felt comfortable every day sharing stories. And I also received a lot of feedback from other people, other professionals who would see my LinkedIn profile, who would see what I was doing or what I was sharing, and they started asking me,
Right.
I would like to do this. I would like to do this. I had back then a business partner where whose name is Adriana Romero, another excellent, is one of my sisters for life, is still to this day here. And we both partner into this career women empowerment business, because we had friends that were coming from, same Latin America specifically, but other countries as well, that did not project their skills, all the education that they had as a background from other countries when they moved here. They were still at home or performing jobs that were not their main career, their main skill set. And I get it. We all have transitions. I had transitions jobs. I went through volunteer at a long-term care residence simply to have language exposure and talking to people. Then I worked at a luxury watch boutique because I needed to have direct contact with people on a daily basis in order for me to acquire this fluency, the eloquency of talking about a completely foreign topic to me that I had to learn about, luxury watches. And then I had this great opportunity to, get into the corporate world. So we promoted some workshops. This promotion of, this specific workshop with her gave us, it got the attention of the press. Okay. So we found a journalist. Well, this journalist found us, or that we were promoting immigrant women's workshops.
Right.
And so she got us and interviewed us for CBC, and it's still out there online on the internet wilderness. The interview that she did at that point, where the immigrant and women skills and professionals was so relevant, especially with the Ministry of Immigration back then. And we were featured on CBC. So,
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That is in a 10, 15 minute nutshell how I got here.
Long story short, or short story long?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now it's all about LinkedIn, right? So from cringe to confidence. Let's talk about the psychology of cringe, right? Because a lot of people, they just have this fear of being seen. Like even before we went on here, we're talking about if it's an audio or you're having a phone call, it's one thing. But once the cameras turn on, people they freeze or they overthink. So why do you think that is? Why do people fear just being seen online, especially on a LinkedIn platform?
Look, the imposter syndrome, the perfectionism is impossible to deny. We have, great influencers. We have people who have taken and invested into creating quality videos. And then they come, these professionals, and might say, I need to get out there. I need to promote myself in this vast ocean of professionals if I want to stay relevant. But then they come to LinkedIn feeds that are so perfectly tailored. Mm-hmm. And this was my pivotal moment when I saw that people were hesitant of, sharing anything, just grabbing their phone, hitting the red button, and then finding themselves on camera. They thought that we had to have a studio,
Right.
to have
Right.
a professional setup like we have right now. When I simply decided, look, it might be a stereotype. I want to prove that with a smartphone, you can have the same impact that when you have a professional setup and a huge investment in equipment.
Right.
This is how the cringe, the more you see high quality videos online, the more you feel hesitant to produce because you might not have what it takes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the only, in reality, that it takes is having a plan, having a goal, and an undesirable wish to share your experience, what you know, and the fact that you'll help someone
Right.
to do the same.
Right. Okay. No, that's really good. So, what was your I know you kind of mentioned it earlier, but when you post or the first time you posted, right? Or like even now when you post, how closely do you watch that post in terms of, are people commenting? Are people viewing? Like, do you think that's also a part of people's hesitation of like, what are people going to think?
Correct. There's I always give my mentees, these professionals that come asking these so many questions in terms of, what do I do? How do I get it started? And then after I hit the post button, what happens next?
Right.
And I'll simply want you who are maybe looking to understand that it's a process, it's a transition, just like you learn how to walk, you learn how to crawl, walk, then run. It's the same with LinkedIn.
That's
You have
good.
already an established community, and there are different industries, different interests, different topics that are shared every single day. So that's why your network becomes the key element that you need to nurture. Obviously, nurturing this professional side comes with the goal that you're having, and you're gonna break the ice. You gotta break the ice, and the breaking the ice sometimes feels awkward because you might have a topic in mind, and then you want to introduce yourself, and then you don't know what to do. Is it the chicken or the egg first?
Right.
No, the idea is that introduce yourself, just break the ice, and be transparent as you can. And this is the plan. You break the ice, and then you maybe share another post, and then you said, what is it that truly interests you to share on the platform? As a person, as a professional, you don't have to label yourself,
Right.
because this is what happens. Maybe you are a multifaceted person. You might have a career that you love, a job. You are a parent. Maybe you are a traveler, and you
Yeah.
also want to share a little bit of everything.
Right.
But we came from, years and decades of simply seeing corporate information
Yeah.
and corporate information, and maybe letting yourself be influenced by corporate jargon, by the
Interesting.
corporate language that might make you look very smart or not. But in this day and age, LinkedIn is as relaxed as you want to be. You can just share who you are, what is happening to you, because the idea is that by you sharing everything that is on your mind, that you want your audience, your network, connections, and followers to know about you. You don't have to share everything. You can
Right.
share certain snippets of your day, or if you don't want to, because your topic and your goal with sharing information on LinkedIn is simply for your industry purpose, your professional purpose, for some people who share the same topics of interest
Right.
with you. It's as wide and vast as you want. So by taking this first decision of, I am going to introduce myself. How do you introduce yourself? You simply state a problem, maybe a problem that maybe that your ideal audience has, a problem in your industry, and then by sharing what your specialty is giving the solution to that specific problem.
Right.
And then you say, my name is, and well, you know my name. I am more than happy to connect with people who, and then you can state your desired audience, connections, followers. The idea is, with posting, is simply create conversations. Posts are conversation starters with the specific purpose.
Okay.
Yeah, so people use them. Maybe I'll use it because I just started a business, and this business needs visibility. Some others will come and say, I'm so eager to share my opinion and point of view of, and then you can fill in the blanks. Artificial intelligence, accounting, aerospace, tech, trends, career
Right.
tips, LinkedIn, video, podcasting, you name it. Like, LinkedIn is so wonderful because the information that you see there matters to someone. It has substance, even when it is only for connection, human to human.
Right.
I've shared personal stories on LinkedIn, and that has not taken the wrong way, where people might say, "Oh, this does not belong to LinkedIn."
Right.
People used to say that this doesn't belong to LinkedIn, and not anymore.
Yeah. I want to go back to what you said about the studio setup and like having all the right volume and equipment and microphones and lights and everything. Do you what is your thoughts on overproduced content versus more raw content? So, something's overproduced, it's in the studio, looks fully polished, versus somebody just grabbing their phone, vlogging, raw, unfiltered type of vibe.
Again, well, it's all an evolution. I'm sure I started with my phone and I still use my phone. There might be a point in time in which you want to create higher quality content. And that is because you already went through the phases of not knowing what to do. Maybe, testing the waters with video because you were self-conscious, because you couldn't see yourself in camera, because your voice, as simple as listening to your voice after you recorded.
Man, that's the hardest part.
It was hard for me. And it would be kind of like, nails scratching a board. It was so hard. But the more I did it, I said, there's no other way to overcome this self-awareness, the imposter syndrome, the not feeling good enough for camera, the not feeling prepared enough, the not feeling with enough information. And it's all, again, a feel. The fact were others. When you focus on the fact, and as I focus on the fact, and as I see other people saying, like, do I have this set up?
Right.
You don't need a setup. With lighting, as long as you have a good window and the background creates this atmosphere that you want to project to the viewer, to your ideal viewer, that is okay. If your ideal viewer is, maybe a homestay mom, would you rather have a very well set up, or maybe behind your kitchen, behind a living room, where she will feel welcome and not judged because you are sharing with her maybe some tips on how to improve your house planning, for example, your children's daily chores. But as you tailor and you understand who your audience is, as you receive feedback on likes, on comments, and on posts, then you start tweaking these elements, lighting, any other like microphone, whether you have great audio, whether your background is cluttered or it is clean enough for people to simply focus on you and not on whatever distractions that might happen on the back, right?
Okay, so I just had a thought, but I know I've learned so much from you about LinkedIn over the years, and you've done workshops for our community, and
Thank you.
Of course I follow you and take all your tips. Yeah. I don't want to say steal, but I use all your tips. But I remember you at one point you said like your LinkedIn profile is not for you.
Correct.
It's for. So can you just like break that down again in terms of how you perceive what you're doing on LinkedIn and who it's for?
Correct. And I want to make this clear difference. We started creating our LinkedIn profiles based on our resumes.
Right.
That was how I started, how back in 2004, 2005, and then 2009, I finally heard of LinkedIn. It was like just copy the sections of your resume on your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
And I did it. So I thought that my LinkedIn profile was a copy of my resume. And with this information, you simply tweaked whenever you change or you started a new job opportunity.
Exactly, yeah.
And maybe you added
an
extra skill or what you learned or how you did it. But truly, your LinkedIn profile is not your resume. And your resume talks about the support or gives the evidence to a potential employer about your past professional experience that gives you current credentials to aspire to multiple positions or a specific position. But your LinkedIn profile is you, the professional you that never sleeps. It's who you want to be, where you're going. It should show the future projection. And the future projection obviously never will have some background and experience, and that is what gives the weight, the supporting evidence that you are that professional that you are describing on your LinkedIn headline, where this condensed summary of your background in the about section. Mm-hmm. But in reality, it should say who you are, what you do, who or how you help either people, organizations, and obviously the evidence is the background, your professional experience.
Right.
It
like
gives the weight.
Before, yeah.
And there are other elements that LinkedIn has included, like recommendations.
Yeah.
The skills section, which as an electronic tool helps you rank in searches and being found by a specific set of people. Well, whether it's a recruiter, whether it's a professional or headhunter, or whether you are promoting a business and you want other maybe potential customers, clients, leads to find you because they are trying to connect with people with similar interests or skill sets.
Okay.
So it's dynamic.
Yeah, it is very dynamic. And let's talk about business owners and entrepreneurs, because a lot of them, they kind of say, okay, I don't feel like I should be or need to be on LinkedIn. So how important is that, even if I'm working at a company or if I'm running a company and it's like my company's on LinkedIn, but do I need to be on LinkedIn? Like if I'm the CEO or the VP or whatever my role is. Can you talk about that? And also even maybe get into the idea where I might not be comfortable sharing things on LinkedIn because I'm working at an organization and I'm not sure what they will think
Correct.
about certain things I say.
Correct. And with that, you're getting into a point where I have to say, this comments, this opinion is my own and not of my current employer. Because although I am a consultant, I also work for an amazing organization. But these are my views.
Right.
As and entrepreneurs, it all depends on the type of organization that you belong to. If you are a business owner, you are
So let's start with the business owner
Yeah.
that's, they're kind of running their business, they're an entrepreneur, and they say, why do I need to be on LinkedIn? I just want my business to do the talking type
Correct.
of thing. Yeah.
The leader of a company, it's about visibility. You might have a very profitable organization, business, leads and verticals that are doing their own. But you need visibility. And how Google ranks LinkedIn profiles and LinkedIn pages is something that you don't see unless you have, a high traffic website. You need visibility into your business. And it's a marketing strategy. You as a marketing professional understand this.
Right.
Some others might not know how powerful a LinkedIn profile, a personal LinkedIn profile is, because Google sees it as a verified, safe page, safe space.
Okay.
So it gives a specific rank. And I want anyone to do this exercise. Google yourself.
Yeah.
If you have a LinkedIn profile that is updated, you type your name and you Google yourself, and rest assured that on the first page of results, which is the most important page on Google, your LinkedIn profile will appear. If you have a website and it has a lot of traffic, of course it will do the same, and same with YouTube. But LinkedIn is one of the first and most credible pages that you can take advantage of. So in terms of visibility, having a LinkedIn profile first gives credibility, and credibility translates into trust. So someone is looking for a product or a service that your company is offering, and they type the information, and you have a content, you have created enough content that promotes this product, these services, or provides insights into what you do, then you will appear. People will find you. People will contact you. That's where the gold mine is,
Right.
as an entrepreneur, but especially beyond the business, beyond the profits. It's your impact as a human being to another human being.
Right.
And how your information, your expertise, and your vision on your specific sector or your industry could be. That gives insight into, again, this human ocean that is on LinkedIn every day, checking feeds, checking the posts, commenting, or trying to find someone to connect with.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back. We went business owner. Let's go to beginner, right? So I work with a lot of students. They graduate, they come out of school, and they say, okay, they just kind of start their LinkedIn, right? So they're like, I have a profile, but what do I talk about, right? I just started off. Nobody knows me. I don't have any experience. Why would anybody want to hear me post, or why would anybody want to hear what I have to say? So I'm just starting off on LinkedIn. Where do I start? What's the top 3-5 tips for that beginner person?
So once they are in university or leaving high school and started their university or college life, there's no better time for them to create their profiles. LinkedIn has obviously age restrictions, so check the age restrictions and what you need to consider. But once you have this age requirement and you pass, creating the professional you, that will start creating this image, the career path, or simply the person who wants to share a message is welcome. You don't have to have everything figured it out. You don't have to be the most knowledgeable person in the room in order for you to create a juicy, very powerful about section. We are humans, so share the story of what this human currently is,
Right.
and what are these goals that you have for the next 3, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years. What is keeping you online? What are your your interests, your passions? What is your current readings and your point of view? Because no one is going to tell you, no, you're not mature enough to talk about this topic. As long as you want to be a part of the conversation,
Right.
even through questions. This is the best way for students, university students, college students, to get into communities, into associations, into LinkedIn groups that are talking about a specific, even gaming. You can join any group that you have an interest for on LinkedIn. Taekwondo, I'm sure that you will find. Fitness, I'm sure that you will find. So whatever it is, the current topic of your interest, and maybe it is technology, maybe it is marketing, maybe it is human resources. There's so much that you can talk, that you can get from experts, or from people who are simply curious, just like you, to get into more nurture conversations. The more you share, the more you create this persona. And this is what's called personal branding.
Okay.
This is what creates this image of yourself
Right.
online. You find something that makes you passionate, just like me. I have two careers, and I say the careers because I have two paths. I love engineering. I love health and safety. Keeps my mind, curious to continue evolving. And I also have this human side and the connection side that I've created through LinkedIn video, coaching, LinkedIn profile optimization. And some people call me a marketer. I am not a marketer. I'm simply a human being who wants to see other human beings finding confidence online to share what they have to share, what their message, what they've learned, and create connections with others. That is what makes me the happiest.
That's good. That's good. So let's talk about like some of the features, right? Like what are some of the features that people don't use enough or don't know about, and should they be taking advantage of them? Because like you said, most people, they do their resume and then I guess that's kind of it. Maybe they'll send a couple of connections to people and then they'll be like, oh, nobody messaged me back.
Well, we are visual animals. We're visual creatures. That's why we're hooked on video. That's why Instagram invested millions and millions of dollars on Instagram Reels, on Instagram Stories, where it all started. And then with the arrival of TikTok, they decided to heavily invest into, video feeds, because we get hooked into the short form side of the video content creation. We are immediately into it. So on LinkedIn, we also have now, video feeds, but the main core of the equation is your LinkedIn profile. So there are visual aspects within the LinkedIn profile, and I told you before we started recording about the LinkedIn banner, that little piece of real estate on top of your photo, and that is a great billboard for you to share, again, a piece of information that can be digested differently than with words, that you can share on other sections of your LinkedIn profile. Using the LinkedIn banner, and now also LinkedIn understood this. We used to have, this video intro and on our picture
Right.
that was removed.
It's gone?
It is gone.
Do they still have the where you can say your name
We
and
do
pronounce
have.
it?
We do have
Okay.
your name
Yeah, remember you put
pronunciation.
me onto that.
Yes,
Yeah.
the 10-second name pronunciation feature. There's still there. But they removed the LinkedIn, the video intro from your LinkedIn profile photo. But now that you have the LinkedIn banner has never gone away and is not going away. So you have this piece of, again, real estate where you can share either a nugget of what you do, who you help, and how. Maybe a catchphrase that hooks people and helps them stay longer on your profile. You can add even sometimes relevant information to either professional career or business. Whether you have a website and you want people to visit, that specific place on the internet. It's so great. And they have created now for those who have, the premium, like any paid membership with LinkedIn, you'll have up to 5 banners switch. So you have the option.
Oh, really?
You have the option to upload up to 5 images. So you will have kind of the carousel effect, but on your LinkedIn banner. So you can add more information. You can share more insights of the professional that you are, the business that you are promoting, services, a new book that you're launching, a show.
Okay.
So it is not static anymore for those who have, again, the pay membership, the LinkedIn Premium.
Right.
And then you have the feature section. And you might say, like, what is the feature section? Where, how do I get a visual aspect? And visual, because on that feature section, you can share documents, videos, presentation, links to external sources, YouTube, etc. And it is by sharing a post. You share a post that, for example, is a carousel. The carousels on LinkedIn can be downloaded as a PDF document. Okay. So you can add a carousel just like you see on Instagram. You can add a carousel, and then there is an option within the post where the menu that LinkedIn gives you is you can delete it, you can download the PDF, or you can add it to your feature section. It's kind of like a star.
Right.
Once you click add it to your feature section, you enabled it on your profile. So it comes just after your headline and maybe the small part of your intro, like your about section. That's where there are other sections over there, but it's visual. It's another section. It's another area where eyes will tend to go. If you don't have it, then LinkedIn by default gives you other information, like a small summary of your about section, like the first 3 sentences or of your about section, and then it provides certain insights, and then people you might know, and then things start getting all compressed and collapsed.
Yeah.
You just got to use it. Use the visual component, and with me will be video.
So video and visual.
Yeah, and so for a student, for a professional who has never used the feature section, things have changed and evolved over time. We used to see people uploading their resumes there, so that it could be readily available to recruiters. And headhunters. But now you just got to go, the next level. What is next? What do you do in 2025, especially with uncertainty in job markets, economy is changing? You just have to level up. You can have the resume, but how about you introduce yourself and give, let's say, 60 seconds.
Yeah.
No more than 90 seconds. An introduction of the professional that you are, your experience, your achievements, and where can people find you. Just giving, instead of you can introduce yourself in a post. And once you have it, you simply add it to the feature section.
Right.
It's no longer enough to simply have a resume, because you're not standing out anymore.
Yeah.
How many? You're a mentor.
Right.
How many professionals do you see that they have maybe an introduction? You won't see.
Yeah.
Many.
Well, it's just not memorable, right? It's kind of standard, but if there's like a intro or a video or something fun or cool, then it's like, oh yeah, I remember that. So.
Correct. You need to find a way to stand out, and it doesn't have to be to brag. It's simply to say, I am here, I am claiming this space that is on my LinkedIn profile for a specific viewer to see. That's why your LinkedIn profile is not for you, it's for the visitor.
Right.
That ideal visitor that you want to take an action on the information you've shared.
Yeah. And I love what you said about human connection too. Regardless if they take action or purchase your product or whatever, it's just connecting with other people. So with that being said, I want to switch a little bit away from LinkedIn, and I want to talk about mentorship a bit. You mentioned supporting and being part of a community of women, business owners, entrepreneurs. Do you have a mentor? How do you feel about mentorship? How important is that?
Well, I've belonged to a few communities, but the main one has been since Clubhouse started. And for those who might not know what Clubhouse is, it was an audio platform that was so hot. 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
I think 2021, 22.
2021, pandemic, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic. And I found people with similar interest, had the same passion, helping, finding women, finding rooms where you could talk about a specific topic. And the more I heard, the more I became an audience of those regular, reoccurring rooms. I found people that I really connected, that I felt that resonated with me. Their message resonated with me, and then I started contacting them. And one of them was Bobby Umar. I told you,
okay.
I mentioned about Bobby Umar, who is multiple times TEDx speaker, public speaker, and overall an amazing human being, personal branding expert. And he created a community called Thought Leadership Branding. And I said, I want to start, help you create this community of like-minded professionals who wanted others to thrive on LinkedIn through creating this personal brand. And personal brand might sound like a cliche words now, but it is simply this version of yourself.
Right.
You want others to get to know. And it has a specific purpose, and the purpose, again, is impact. It's overall human impact for others to feel, again, empowered, confident in their own expertise, in their own brilliance. And brilliance, again, is so wide and it can't be defined. And this is, and LinkedIn became that platform that unified. Like we went all to Clubhouse, but we all had a linked or an affinity through LinkedIn. And through that community, we started getting to know each other. We started, meeting in person, finding ways to collaborate. For example, with you open your community to me in creating workshops so that, students, young professionals could also do the same, feel, with enough confidence on what they have. Even if they have very little experience, they could start feeling themselves as one drop in the vast ocean, that creates impact to community. So finding this great community of professionals gave me, bridges, open doors for me, podcast interviews, more workshops, like online conference, talking to even an university in Japan. So the opportunities are endless as long as you show up and you understand that there's no way for you to be perfect online. It's impossible.
Yeah.
As long as you're okay with what you produce and you put out there, and maybe you see some flaws and then you change it the next time. And maybe sometimes, the message never resonates. But as long as that community that you create feels like understand you, likes you, trust you, trust. Those three factors come into the equation when, your LinkedIn profile comes to a nice fruition and it becomes, a structured element that truly talks about you the way you want.
Amazing. And do you mentor people?
I do. I remember that I was reached out by the Concordia University in, is it Ottawa? I believe.
Montreal, yeah.
Montreal, Ottawa, yeah. And I had the chance to mentor a group on multiple like entrepreneurial ideas they have. So it was probably 6 to 8 months. But I haven't done anything else after. I know that you are an avid, passionate mentor for others, but I love doing it. You know that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, I think we got a lot of info, a lot of LinkedIn tips. And every time I meet you, I feel like, man, I gotta rush back and get back on my LinkedIn game, which is why I always stay in touch with you because you're very knowledgeable and inspirational when it comes to that. But before we wrap up, I just want to get more into, Ilia as a person. So tell me, I have a few questions. What's your favorite food? What's, you're chilling, you want to eat something, you want to celebrate. What's your favorite go-to food that you would that you would hit?
You took me out of place completely. But there's so much that I could enjoy, but besides that burrito, sushi,
okay.
teppanyaki.
Oh, nice,
and
nice.
Now that I'm bringing back my memories, there's
Right.
nothing better than a perfect kafta plate. I
Okay.
love kafta.
Nice,
Like
nice.
Middle Eastern food is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Probably, now that they started moving my pieces in preference, truly, a kafta plate is right there at the
The
top.
palate's starting to remind you.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
that's good. All right. And favorite place to travel?
Aruba.
Aruba. Nice.
I could go anywhere else in the world, but Aruba has a special place in my heart.
Okay.
Forever.
Nice. Any specific reason why?
You
just love it
it's so
there?
close to Venezuela.
Okay.
I was there, multiple times, and I know the island back and forth. I can drive anywhere in the island, and I simply, it's that core memory
Nice.
in my past. Yeah.
Did I ever tell you my grandma's from Venezuela?
No.
Yeah.
no way. Oh
She's
my
from
goodness.
Venezuela, and then she moved to Trinidad.
There you go. That's why
Yeah.
our linked through.
Yeah, for
Remember
real.
Amanda Kohal? Amanda was the one who introduced me to you. Like kind of mentioned about the tech effect, and beautifully, we're still here.
Absolutely. Favorite app?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn? Okay. That's a good one. That's an obvious one, maybe.
Yeah.
Recommended book?
Oh Lord, I have a lot of them, but the main one that I still like to revisit is Principles from Ray Dalio.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
Is amazing.
Wow, that's a good one.
It was hard for me to read, so I downloaded the audiobook from Audible, and I listened to it for probably weeks because it's a very very fast, it's a very thick book.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And so the audiobook was great. So whenever sometimes I forget some of the principles and I go back to it, and it's just great. I have the book per se,
Right.
but I also
right.
have the audio.
Okay. Yeah, principles. That's a big one. All right. Last question, Ilia. Word of advice.
In general,
whatever comes to mind.
Just go and be and do whatever your mind set to. There's not much time that we have, here, and just the regret of having a past. And I say past, it can be parents that overprotected you, parents that always told you, be humble, do not brag, never go beyond. Are those mental limitations that sometimes we carried throughout our lives, even though we identify something so beautiful that you can be so good at just because you haven't tried enough. That's why when I started, sharing video on LinkedIn, it was the informal version that came through Instagram. I would download it and then we upload it to LinkedIn. And some people will see it. Some, will be very hesitant. And I said, well, it is what it is. I don't have any more time to have a big production. So it is what it is. And that identified me later as the LinkedIn video. Like, people like to give you, names on like, the LinkedIn queen. It doesn't, the LinkedIn whisperer, as you might remember. But in reality, what you want to do is simply get your message across. Knock the doors, because chances are that one will open. Maybe just shoot your shot.
That's exactly what I was thinking when you were talking. Ilia Francis, thank you so much for coming by.
Finally,
it was a great conversation. Lots of knowledge, lots of information. So there you have it. Ilia Francis, the LinkedIn Whisperer, came through the Career Currency podcast. She gave you a little bit of history of how she started coming to the country and adapting to the Canadian workforce and just the overall culture. She gave a lot of LinkedIn keys, so make sure you get your profile going, get on video, get those visual representations of your work. Appreciate your suggestions in terms of food, books, and recommendations. But that's another episode. Signing off, Kareem Perez from the Tech Effect Career Currency. Thank you so much, Ilia, for coming through. And hopefully we'll jump on a LinkedIn Live soon, or we'll continue this conversation in another format. But I really appreciate your time and your knowledge and inspiration. And check my LinkedIn profile in about a week or two, because it's going to be popping.
Excellent.
Right.
It's evolving. It's a constant and work in progress always. It never ends.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ilia.
You take care.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
You're tuned in to Career Currency with Kareem Perez, a podcast for people who are interested in unlocking their potential and increasing their professional value. Here's your host, Kareem Perez.